Hello again, Steve here to weigh in and give my couple of cents worth and hopefully to try to find some sort of a moral on the fly to do with this whole Judy Wilson Rayould, a politician in Canadian politics, and in reference to the whole scandal that's gone down with Justin Trudeau. Now, in case you're not aware, but I'm sure you are aware, Jody Wilson Rayould was the senior Justice, Attorney General, I believe, of Canada, and in part of the Ministry of Justice or whatever. I'm not sure the exact title, but it doesn't really matter for this case. Basically, she was the chief attorney, you might say, within the government, and is supposed to be an impartial office to the party that she's in, and the prime minister and so on. Right? She's not supposed to be under the influence of anything but, you know, justice itself. She's supposed to impartially look at those sort of things. But what happened was that Quebec politics got hold of her. But fortunately, probably because it's great when a scandal like this breaks, fortunately the scandal was able to break. She's not from Quebec. She's not loyal to Quebec politics, right? She's got other loyalties, which hopefully I will get to in a few minutes. But the thing is that the whole scandal to do with Quebec politics had to do with this big company, SNC, Lavalin, I believe it is. It's a huge construction engineering company or whatever in Quebec. It's part of Quebec Inc., is what it used to be called. Quebec basically is a fascist, it's incredibly fascist place, which basically completely runs by graft, essentially. And the business model of a company like SNC Lavalin is to get massive government contracts and to do whatever it takes, including, there's evidence of, bringing Muammar Gaddafi over and getting high-priced hookers for him while he's learning English or French or whatever. It's part of his training, of course, is to, have lap dancers talk to him and so on. I guess that's, that's his preferred classroom. Anyways, so they get tax write-offs for, providing this sensational entertainment for the rich and famous as a way of getting contracts. It's however you can get them. It's straight up, sleaze bucket Quebec politics. Anyway, they got into some sort of a scandal over what was going on, and they wanted to make this special deal on the side with the government that no, you don't have to go to trial on this. Just we'll just assess a fine for us. We paid it under the table to you guys, and everything's fine. And she said, no way. You guys broke some kind of a law in this system and whatever. No, it's going to go to trial. And then, of course, Justin Trudeau and all of his aides and stuff were pressuring her and calling her or whatever and saying, hey, you know what? We might not get we might not get reelected. Justin Trudeau is saying, well, I'm from Papineau. I'm Papineau of all places, right? This is my riding in Quebec. If this breaks out and goes to trial, I might not get reelected. And besides, there's a Quebec election going on, and there's a we want to make sure the Liberals win there and so on, right? So, anyways, she had enough spine apparently to stand up to it. Now, but that's not really that's the whole backstory approximately. Okay, very much approximately. Don't take anything that I'm saying as literal. It's approximately like that. This stuff goes on everywhere, but especially in Quebec. Especially in Quebec, it's basically like third world politics, 100%. And would be third world if it wasn't propped up for all kinds of lolly that comes in from the West to subsidize them. Now, Judy Wilson Rayould, though, I don't think a lot of people are holding her up as this great hero, right? But we got to look at this a little bit more carefully. But because I don't think she really is, there's probably a great vested interest that if she can take Justin Trudeau down, she's got a great crack at the prime ministership. Think about it. There's an election coming up this fall, and not very many people like Trudeau anymore. But with this kind of a play that she's got going on, it's possible anyways, that it makes her look very, very good. And she's lots of things, right? She's a woman. She is apparently part of a First Nation, even though she's got freckles all over her face, and she's part of a hereditary chief family and what have you. And they got long words written with Jesuit letters to in the name of their tribes and so on. And so it's very it's very much of a affirmative action, checklist of all the things you would want in there, which brings me to the one of the dangers of this affirmative action stuff, right? Justin Trudeau, the wonderful feminist who likes to put his knees together when he's talking to people and cry whenever he doesn't like something and so on, who's so sensitive and he cares for about so many people and so on, doesn't seem to care about Wilson Rayould at this point, apparently. Just a note there. And but you see, the thing is, he wanted to make sure that he met all the affirmative action check marks when he was setting up his cabinet. I mean, the guy is just an amazingly wretched individual to say that he's going to put 50% of women on the cabinet, even though the Canadian population did not vote for 50% women in their political system. I mean, that is so anti-democratic, and he cares to be if he claims to be a Democrat, he's a complete hypocrite. Sure, he might want 50% of women on his cabinet, but if there's only 20% of women actually voted for, that's not good, right? So anyways, he's got to try really hard. He's got to try hard to put all these women into a cabinet of a very small pool of women in the elected members of parliament that he has. So he's got to weigh each woman with a lot less sensitive scale than the men he's going to put in there, right? Because he's only got he's got 3 times as many men to draw for, 3 or more times as many men to draw from as he's got women, but he's got to go 1-to-1 in his cabinet. But also, of the women who are there, he has to make sure that the ones that he puts in prominent positions, they're very high up on the checklist. Oh, you're a First Nations, you're a Native Indian. Okay, you got to go way up here right away. And you happen to speak French and 2 other, native languages. And you're a professional, and you're a lawyer, and you're a this, and you're a that. Well, my goodness, she has to shoot right to the top of the list, right? So what happens when there's this outrage by people like Trudeau to make sure that they're being as sensitive as possible to get every victim class at the top of the list, is he's going to overlook what's going on inside them, right? So he was able to overlook Wilson Raybould's character to actually have a moral background when it counted, or at least what appears to be a moral backbone, not a background, backbone when it comes to it. Because of course, if he had taken somebody in that position to be according to merit in terms of what he sees as merit, which is somebody who's willing to lie and overturn justice and so on, he would have chosen somebody like that. He would have chosen somebody who would be judge material, for example, somebody who's a political lawyer, and he wouldn't have chosen her. But because he had to choose all of those external things, he had to choose a woman, he had to choose somebody who was a First Nation if possible, he had to choose somebody with 35 freckles on their face and so on instead of 38. All of those things had to be those superficial things. They had to be there because he's somebody who cares so much, so deeply about feminism and about minorities and all that. That's what elevated it, not what they were, not their character. So she had all of those things, yes, but also she had a character which was much more solid than his own. So when it came time for him to try to bully her into ignoring justice, he got himself in trouble. And no matter how many threats that he threw at her, including basically kicking her out of her job and into something else, he still didn't seem to want to stop. But that's interesting because, and there's a guy on YouTube, he's called the Canadian Libertarian. Thumbs up to you, by the way, dude. Doing a good job. He actually talked about this sort of thing after I was thinking about it. So it's interesting how like minds think alike. But I guess the lesson here is it's not so much about, I mean, like I say, the other night I was talking to somebody about this SNC Lavalin thing here and Justin Trudeau, and I said to him, I said, tell me something that isn't new. I mean, first of all, you're dealing with the Liberal government, right? Which I'll come back to Wilson Rayould on that again. And secondly, you're talking about Quebec giant construction firms. Those two things go hand in hand, and there's always a scandal. I mean, I remember saying when Justin Trudeau got elected, everybody said, "Yay, this guy's got great hair, he's wonderful, he's so on." I said, it's gonna be pathetic. Seriously, it's gonna be pathetic. It's gonna be one scandal after another. But this is the tale of the Liberal government, right? It's what they do. They're fascists, right? And they're interested in their own pocket. And you're gonna find hookers and all kinds of stuff in the conversation and groping going on. Justin Trudeau is such a great feminist, but and he gropes women and stuff like that. It's really pathetic, is what it is. But it's so pathetic. I'm gonna put out another suggestion here for those who are gonna think that this Wilson Rayould is such a hero, such a great virtuous woman. Yeah, she had a backbone here, but we don't know why she did. But I'll tell you something. She is part of the Liberal government. That's the first thing that should be a warning to anybody who has a shred of integrity. This is an organization who, let's face it, is completely on the attack of free speech, has given hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to the mainstream media to write hit pieces against people who don't like them, who demands that everybody in that party has to be pro-abortion. If you're not pro-abortion, they will kick your ass out of that party. So to me, all of that sort of stuff, they are against freedom, right? Freedom of speech especially. So Wilson Raybould's a part of this. So my question is, okay, she might rise to prominence. I want to run for Prime Minister. And everybody be, yay, we got a woman finally, we got a First Nations minority and so on. So hang on a second, folks. This person was part of that Liberal government. Is she really any better than Justin Trudeau? The message here being, we can very often judge people by the company they keep. And though these are two people fighting against each other now, they were partners in crime up till very recently. And Wilson Rayould just may be positioning herself for a run at the prime ministership, which she may see very valid, very possible. And we can't forget too that her father, who was a hereditary chief, forget his name now, out in British Columbia, he once met Trudeau's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, and he told him that his daughters wanted to run, were eventually going to be prime minister, or one of them was going to eventually be prime minister. That was way back, like 30 years ago. So these girls have been primed, have been trained, and so on. And she's taken a very, very high office. And you think about it now, the sense of politics now is if you have somebody who's presents themselves, is able to maneuver themselves somehow into a position of looking virtuous, which Rayould certainly has done in spades here. And then she also has all those other check marks. A woman, First Nations, 39 freckles on her nose, and all of these sorts of things that whatever it is that people at the moment think is somehow important, why the hell it's important is ridiculous, but it is to many, many people. And she is potentially in a huge position. If she can topple Trudeau and there's a leadership race, my bet is she's going to be in there. And unless there's some scandal breaks on her or whatever, she could well be the next prime minister. But that's just a thought anyways. But the lesson, the takeaway is we have to judge people by their character to some extent. We always got to give them that benefit of the doubt because sometimes people keep company, their enemies, because they see that's the way to power. And they think that somehow when they get power, they're going to do good. There are those people, but we always have to be wary of why people are involved with fundamentally evil people, which is what the Liberal government is, for sure, Liberal Party. At least it has been of late, for sure, as I see it. All politics fundamentally is, and some is worse than others, and the Liberal government stinks from the head down. Steve here again, great chatting. If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.